Well, as don't know his name, but I'm going to talk about the Scipion 2.0. What are the latest developments? And I will be focused on what I think would interest facilities. There are many more things, but I will be focused mainly on what in a facility can be done with the Scipion. And I will also have a few slides about what I will planning to do, again, focusing on what I think is interesting for facilities. Well, first, who am I? My name is Pablo Conesa. I'm the project leader of a Scipion in Madrid. Scipion has a distributed development environment, and there are many people contributing to Scipion. So I'm not the main leader of a Scipion. There are other people like Jose Miguel in Stockholm. Grigory is also actively contributing to Scipion, and many others. And it's nice to see people more and more joining the project from different locations. I'm at Jose Maria Escarazo's group and Carlos Oscar, and we have a long history of software development that started with XMIP. To summarize, I'm going to, quickly, who knows what the Scipion is? Can you raise your hand? Okay. For those that didn't raise their hand, I'm going to explain a bit of what a Scipion is. So think about the Scipion as a workflow engine. It's a software that allows you to plug components and do one step after the other. And each of the steps is a process, something you want to do with some data. It's thought as a generic tool, so not only for Cryo-EM, but since it started with Cryo-EM, everything that is available at the Scipion now is Cryo-EM stuff. So you can see there's like 3 main panels. That one on the left is a tree where you can see all the tools available. We call them protocols. The protocols for us are those boxes in the graph, and it represents a process. It could be a movie alignment. It could be a 2D classification. It could be a CTF estimation. Each of these single steps that you may want to do in Cryo-EM is represented as a box. Yeah? So you have the list of available methods there. We have over 300 methods. And that can be displayed on the left. Then the main canvas there, it displays a graph that will give you an idea of what have you done. And you can complicate your workflow to very extreme limits. And the Scipion can keep track of all data steps, keeping all the parameters and all the details. You can even copy that, replicate, redo what you have done on what has worked before for you. Yeah. And then it has some that area will display details about that box. All the logs, if you have run the box, you have all the output of that process. Whatever you have run probably has an output. It's recorded there. You have some summaries, and also, very important, you have even the bibliography, the references that is associated with that method. Let me just spend a few seconds to ask you to add the references of the software you are using. This is what keeps us alive. So all the software, the open software that is developed, we need your citations. So I'm not talking about only citing a Scipion. I'm talking about citing also what is being used inside the Scipion. Yeah? And the Scipion can give you a list of all the references. If you select the boxes you want, it will give you the big text for all those citations. Okay, this is just extracted from our website. This is a dynamic graph. You can see Scipion is in the middle because it integrates. Scipion doesn't do image processing. It doesn't do any kind of image processing. It integrates the software that actually does the image processing. And this is all that is available in the Scipion at the moment. And I highlighted those that might be useful in a facility. It also depends how far you want to take your workflow. You want to reach, obviously, refinement, then we could have more boxes highlighted. Yeah? But usually you do the first step in a facility, so you can do motion core, you can do rely on motion core, you want. You can obviously estimate CTF. You can even reach to, you can use pickings, different type of different pickers, like Cryo that is inside Sphere plugin. You can even reach the extraction, even 2D classification. And at that boundary, I think is where the online processing just swapped to a non-online processing, but you can still do it within a Scipion. As I said before, it keeps track of everything. This is a workflow that we use for training. And you can see at the very top, you have the import where you register your data, your movies, your micrograph, whatever you want to start with. And then you start doing things. And it can become, obviously you have Apple 13, probably your graph would be on a straight line with maybe 4 items, 5 items. But if you have problems, then you can start playing with the data and having more complicated workflow. So as I said, logs are kept very carefully. For each of those boxes, you can have one of those log files. And you can even export your workflow. If you're happy with that workflow, let's say you're in a facility, you decided that you want to go for, let's say, motion core, then you want to do CTF fine, then you want to do some Cryo picking, and you're happy with that workflow for your facility to run it every day, then you can export that as a template and import it every time. Yeah. So workflows are able to be exported and imported into Scipion. So you can repeat the same workflow as many times as you like. This is new to in this version. Scipion is now pluginable. It means we ship a Scipion and it's empty. So if you now go to our website and download the Scipion, you will not have anything but the core Scipion. It would be completely useless. You need the plugins, yeah, and those plugins are bringing you the functionality, yeah. So there are plugins for Reliant, for CryoSpark, for Motion Core, for Grigori and Lab software, for many of them, and those are giving you the functionality. The other good thing is this is just a screenshot from yesterday, and this is my laptop, but I just discovered that those, in this case, this is how we decided to highlight, those in bold are, sorry, this one, those are modeling plugins. Those have been updated, maybe last week, I don't know what date might be there. So you can easily click there, like I did here, for Johnny, CryoSpark, then run, and then you update and have those plugins updated. That's very convenient when we release software and it has bugs. We can easily fix it, release it, and you don't need to install a Scipion again. Yeah, this was something you had to do in the past. The Scipion was shipped completely together, and any bug had to be fixed installing the new Scipion again. Yeah. Now we can bring bug fixes or new functionality, or even a new plugin can appear there. This is the case for well, in this case, Johnny but don't look for it. We have removed it, and it will be inside the Spire plugin somewhere. Let's see it. Anyway. Yeah, sorry, that one. Thank you. But this is the flexibility we are looking for, and to make your life easier to just update and install and be able to extend the Scipion from the developer's point of view. So these are a few reasons we think Scipion will help you in the facility. It will help you to execute complete workflows in an automated manner. As I said, you can have templates. You can have even your own script if you have some Python developer close to you. So you can decide which workflow you want to run, and you can kick this off every session. And you have your custom workflow every day running. Obviously, if you have a template, you need to customize some values because not every session is the same. Magnification, dose, whatever, box size maybe. So you need to customize that template. And there are ways to do it in the Scipion. Obviously, the Scipion, not all of them, but many of the protocols, especially those at the beginning of the acquisition, works in streaming. That means that as soon as there is a file available, it can process, register the output, and that output is available for the next box. Yeah? Before it wasn't like that, but now it works like that. So as soon as you have something, the other boxes can consume it, and you can basically have your particles or 2D classes while you're still acquiring and getting movies. But still you are getting some results further in your workflow. Yeah? This is 100% customizable, so you can create, combine. It's up to you. You're seeing just some examples, but let me emphasize that it's up to you to decide what you want to have. We are not deciding for you what you can have. It's just your decision. You want to have motion core, okay. You want to have rely on motion core, that's fine. You want to do the picking with Criollo or with other picking, that's fine. This is up to you. You design it, you customize it, and it's your decision. And obviously it combines many EM software without the need of programming. You don't need the scripting. You don't need to switch from one package to another. It's just the same as to using one package and the same package after that one. It's completely transparent. Something that is not yet there is a future method that will appear. We don't know where it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, but maybe there's a new method in the future that, I don't know, estimation of some CTF or for tomography, whatever, I don't know. Through a Scipion, you can have it, or if someone make the effort, usually we do it, but we are encouraging developers to maintain their plugin and wrap their software into Scipion. And another benefit is, since it keeps track of all your steps, then you know what you have done there to get that structure or that map if you reach there, maybe not in a facility. But you can also repeat that work. Yeah? So basically using on-the-fly processing will give you feedback. Yeah? So it can give you feedback about your acquisition, and maybe it can help you to make some decisions. Stop the acquisition on that part of the grid, or continue. You're getting nice 2D classes on that part. It will give feedback to the user early in the acquisition as well. And I think it will add value for the facility if you offer the facility as a service. If you provide some online processing capabilities. I think it's another value. So what can you find within a Scipion? I will talk about these few slides are about the streaming protocols. So those that are able to, as soon as they discover some input, they're outputting their result. There are many others that they don't do this, yeah, and they are not listed here. So for those, I think we can reach to 2D classification. So for movie alignment, we have motion core, rely on motion core, 2 XMIP protocols, and blur, some movie, and the old motion core. To do CTF estimation, we have CTF Fine 4, GCTF, XMIP CTF, and CTF Fine. For the picking, we have a lot more. We have Criollo, XMIP automatic, that needs some manual training. Rely on auto. I think I missed rely on lock picker as well. Iman Boxer, Emacs Sparse Gaussian. There are lots of picker that you can choose to include in your, and some of them are mainly automatic, some of them are parametric, some of them need some training, some of them need references, so it depends on what you have available at that moment. You can provide references, then maybe you will go for a G-Automat or some other picker. And for extraction, we have 2 methods, XMIP and rely on extraction. And there are other 2D classification methods, rely on 2D and XMIP 2D, CL2D, but they don't work in streaming. And what I mean is they are not able to incorporate new particles into their already running algorithms. They start with a set of particles and they just go with that set. They are not able to incorporate new particles. XMIP developed some time ago GL2D that is able to do this. So that's why it's specified in streaming. Obviously, there is also CryoSpark 2D, Reliant 2D, and XMIP CL2D, but they don't work in streaming. So since Scipion integrates different software, now you have the chance to do and play around or have options to work with your data. For example, we have 2 consensus methods, CTF consensus and picking consensus. What they do is, so you can estimate the CTF with 2 different methods, and then you can join the output in a consensus, in a CTF consensus. This will compare the output of both protocols, and it will filter. So if, let's say I'm getting a resolution, you can set thresholds. If I'm getting a resolution is above 1 threshold I don't like, then I will remove it and I filter. So everything goes towards removing the user input or actions and have these decisions made at the beginning of your session, and let the protocol work and filter those items. So basically what you do with CTF, maybe you scan the CTF and say, okay, I don't like this one, I don't like this one. That process is kind of what the consensus CTF is doing, trying to remove the bad ones. Yeah. And this happens the same with the picking. So you have different pickers, and then you can have a consensus about, okay, what are the particles that all the pickers have picked? Or give me the union of all the particles picked. This is your decision again. But you have this kind of tools that will help you to at least prune your data. You have also monitoring protocols that will help you to monitor, in some cases, the system. So how the GPUs are going, how the memory or network or I/O processes. You can monitor the CTF, how is the focus varying with time, the astigmatism, the phase shift. You can monitor the gain in case it goes off randomly. And you can, for all of them, you can set up alerts, thresholds, and if those values goes off your threshold, you can get email alerts. So you set up your email account. Also, you can get an HTML report of the acquisition. And this HTML report, it's rsynchable, so you can, with an rsync that could be built inside the Scipion protocol, you can rsync this to some public URL. So the user, or you, if you are off the site, you can reach that report. Yeah. And it provides some kind of summary at the top, some CTF charts, so you get some histograms of the resolution and the defocus. We added recently the CTF time series, so you can see how the resolution, phase shift, or defocus changes among time. And then you can have a table of the micrographs with the CTF and snapshots of the or thumbnails of the micrograph. So you can see how the acquisition is going on. Also, Scipion we think is very easy to use. You have a visual project overview, which it's easy to keep track of what you have done. It also installs third-party software. So if we are allowed to do it, we will install that software. That's the case for Reliant, for Iman, for Motion Core, many of the software integrated. Scipion is also installing it. For those who are not allowed, like Caspar, we are not going to do it. Yeah? The license doesn't allow us to do it. It's easy to combine methods. We have wizards. So this is how it will look. If you click in one of those boxes, the form will pop up, and you have kind of generic parameters on the top here. You can specify threads or MPI depending on the protocol. And then you have the custom parameters here, in this case, for Reliant to do classification. Here's how you link the input with the output of some other box. Yeah. So you click in. Oops. So you click in the magnifier, you will get the list of candidates you can use in this protocol. And it doesn't matter if it's a Reliant output or Scipion output or XMIP output or whatever output. Those are a set of particles, and those can be used in Reliant. Yeah. Then we have wizards as well that will help you to decide on some of the parameters. So you're not sure what is the box size. We can show you this wizard with the particles, and then you can play with the radius, and then decide what is the best parameter for your protocol. And you have also help per parameter, so you can have a long description. Usually this matches what the developer of the method has described in their manual or wiki, whatever. Yeah. And you can also visualize the files, or in this case, the set of particles. In a way, you can filter, you can zoom. This is provided by the plugins. But yeah, you can visualize the data inside the Scipion easily. Now, about integration, I don't know if you have another system in your facility for billing, for scheduling visits, I don't know. Scipion has a full API. It's written in Python, and it can be integrated with any system, theoretically. If that system allows it, the Scipion will allow it. This actually, there are examples at our facility at CNB, and at EBIC and ESRF. They are sending data about their automatic processing to ISPIB, so you can see some outputs, and this information is reported by Scipion. In this case, yeah, they added some other like atlas information, but basically all this is triggered and sent by Scipion. This is a completely different system. This is what they use to store the data and the visits. Scipion, it's already designed to play well with clusters and queues. So you can configure Scipion to play with different queue engines. So you have a cluster and you want to send jobs. Scipion is ready and able to do it. Current status, it's a bit hard to know because I don't think anyone just reports they are using a Scipion. We just happen to know that some facility is using it. And the other way around, maybe some facility was interested and then they removed Scipion, so I don't know. But we know more or less that these facilities are using the Scipion. In green, you can see those that are running everyday Scipion as the online processing software for the facility. In yellow, you will see some that they probably have started, they are using the Scipion, but maybe not every day. And some of them, in case this is Stanford, this is someplace in Brazil, they express interest, but maybe just that. The Scipion can send usage statistics. This is very important for us. Obviously, you need to give consent. Otherwise, the Scipion will not do it. And it's clearly defined what this sends. And it's very minimal information, nothing that compromises your research, just a list of methods. And this is used to basically have a map of where Scipion is being used and have a ranking of usage of the methods. We try to blacklist the developers. We more or less managed to do it, but obviously some developer from outside, like the case of one Taiwanese guy that decided to integrate CryoSpark, it wasn't blacklisted, but we managed to at least know that there was someone in Taiwan doing integrating CryoSpark. That was very interesting to know. And as a result, now we have a plugin for CryoSpark. I'm late. Okay. So in summary, we do have streaming processing. We think a Scipion can trace and can help you to reproduce and repeat your workflow. There's a full API if you have some Python developer, or even not even Python, but some developer, I think can manage to integrate or interoperate with the Scipion. You can interact with LIMS systems. It integrates many EM packages smoothly, which gives you lots of possibilities. Yeah. And it's extensible, which means anyone at some point can develop a plugin, mainly developers of their methods, and then that method could reach your installation. It's GPU cluster queues aware. It's citations aware. Please cite us and cite the software used within the Scipion. You can customize your workflow without the need of coding. Just it's a GUI base where you decide what you want to run. Yeah, you don't need to program anything. It's resumable, so you can restart a workflow at any time. It installs software for you, and I think also, which is very important and made for a facility, I think we provide a strong support. So we are responsive by email. And we have a private Slack channel for facilities, not for every user, but for facilities. And then we can have more direct conversations on help, assist. We can, if needed, we can SSH the machine, try to help if there's any issue. Now, roadmap. I think I have a few slides about the roadmap. Tomography, like winter, is coming. We are working on tomography. This is part of the, this is not available yet. You will not see this in the Scipion yet. But everything is being developed as a plugin. So as soon as we think everything is properly developed, we will release it and it will appear in your Scipion installations. So far, we have implemented IMOD pre-alignment method, several protocols from EMAN, extraction, particle picker, the initial model, to tomogram refinement. XMIP has a few methods to map, to place tomograms back to the tomogram and to apply or undo the geometry. And then we are in conversations, Dynamo in Basel, Daniel Castaño, he expressed interest, and we are trying to find a way to collaborate and see how we can make Dynamo available through the Scipion. And I learned recently that ITOM, I don't know, I haven't tested software, but they already had this intention of integrating it to Scipion. So it would be nice to, our idea is to provide a set of tools for tomography, the same we already do for SPA. Yeah? With the same philosophy, no coding, is integration. Yeah? This screenshot is actually what I have in my laptop with many of those methods. And additionally to that, we are working on an Atlas plugin that will somehow backtrace your results to the Atlas. This probably would be useful to plot resolution based on the location, plot iciness, maybe plot particles. There was a tweet from Matt, and I asked him if we could steal his code. He was happy to contribute. And so this thing of mapping back information to the Atlas, it's already happening. MicroD, I don't know if you do MicroD or you plan to do MicroD, but there are people in Sweden already working on this. They're already building a plugin. So it's starting, but soon probably you will see some micro ID stuff within the Scipion. And then this is probably less interesting for you because it will not provide you more functionality. But for us, it means that we're going in the right direction. We have simplified installation. So the next version would be much more easy to install. Not only the plugins will be updatable, but the whole Scipion will be updatable just with one click or one command. So probably next version will be the last version you need to install a Scipion. And the next one will be just updates. And as a consequence, we can open a Scipion in a Mac, which before it was impossible, or in Windows machines. We don't have a specific roadmap for running this on Mac or Windows, but the fact is that now it's kind of a standard code that can run on every operating system easily. We plan to improve the workflow usability, add more features to make it easier. Migrate to Python 3, Python 2, which is the current version we are using, is already, well, it will be deprecated by the end of the year. So we will update it. And it's Conda and virtual environment compatible. So this is related to how easy it would be to install Scipion, the next version for Scipion. We will also extend on-the-fly processing functionality and reporting. So our report now stops at CTF, but if you do some picking or you do some 2D classification, you cannot see it in the report. So probably we will extend the report and you will be able to see what has been picked by the pickers or how do the classes look like. Warp, Dimitri.
I think we need to wrap up.
Okay, I think that's the last one. We try Warp. I think it's an excellent software. It is possible, but I don't know. It is practical. You need a different OS. Scipion runs on Linux, Warp on Windows. I don't know if in a facility you will have two systems and you want to integrate. Obviously, it will not be as fast as running only Warp in the same machine, but it's possible. And I don't know if we at some point will kind of integrate Warp in the pipeline. This is the Scipion team. Many people in Madrid. Silent Lab is also contributing. Grigor Sharov with his time and Joaquin at MRC. There are a couple of my guild guys and other developers that are joining. And we hope this list to grow. In our website, we can see all the people, funding agencies that have made this project happen. And with this, I would like to thank you for your attention.
Unless there's a really pressing question, I suggest we postpone the questions to the coffee break and move on to our next speaker, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Which will be Zhao Chen from the LB telling us about how they run their EM facility.